Welcome back for another book talk video. It's Suspense Saturday, and today we're talking Agatha Christie again. I want to talk about The Mysterious Affair at Styles and Murder on the Links. These are the first two books in the Hercule Poirot series. Agatha Christie is an amazing writer, and I give her a lot of credit for coming up with these stories. However, I must say they are not perfect. I think it's easy to be a fan of an author, a fan of a series, but be willing to acknowledge that it's not perfect. I gave both of these books 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed them. I think that they are important in the history of murder mystery novels. Agatha Christie published The Mysterious Affair at Styles in 1920 and The Murder on the Links in 1923. They stand out as early works, so they do have some flaws to them. Let's talk about the first book, Hercule Poirot. Something that's interesting to consider is that the books are not told from his point of view. And this is a variable that comes into play, I believe, because Agatha Christie and other mystery writers sometimes did not want to put the detective character, the investigating character, as the main point of view character. I guess because they were afraid it would reveal too much information to the audience too quickly. They wanted to save that information for later. So instead, these two books have a point of view character, main character, that is Arthur Hastings. Hastings is a friend of Poirot. By the way, Agatha Christie was a nurse during World War I. She helped attend to the soldiers and to the Belgian refugees, and the Poirot character is supposedly inspired by the Belgian refugees that she interacted with. I would assume that Arthur Hastings was inspired by one of the soldiers that she interacted with based on the character's background and who he is. In The Mysterious Affair at Styles, we've got Arthur Hastings narrating it, but Poirot really doing a great job of investigating. The book's got neat little maps included with it, but here in this story, we have someone who has been killed with poison, with strychnine, and there are all kind of variables going on. Critics did say that it's possible as an early work that Agatha Christie had too many variables going that kind of cancel each other out, thus making it really difficult for readers to predict it. So when Poirot gives his amazing analysis of what happened, it really does come across as a surprise for a lot of people. We've got a situation with the trope of the will and people potentially trying to murder because they want money from the will, but we have a character who is killed who had been changing the will on a regular basis, and it's important to find out what the will really said and why. It's an interesting one because there are actually characters at the beginning of the story who turn themselves in. There are two different people who try to turn themselves into the cops and say that they committed the murder, and Poirot has to encourage the police to not necessarily believe them and wait until they've really done their investigation and put all the clues together. I do recommend the story, though. If you want to experience Agatha Christie's first mystery, the first Hercule Poirot story, then definitely read The Mysterious Affair at Styles. Just be ready for the fact that you might not know what's really going on until the end. There are fun clues along the way. Both of these stories are the kind of books where it's about 200 to 250 pages, depending on the edition you get, so it's easy to sit down in a day or two and read through them. For the second book we're talking about today, the second book in the series, it's The Murder on the Links, which is supposedly about a golf course and someone dying on the golf course. But funny enough, that golf course barely features in the story. It is not a story about golfing in general. In fact, the golf course, I think, was just being built and wasn't really open yet. Either that or it was being renovated, wasn't being used. I remember as I was reading it thinking, the golf course doesn't really factor in other than it provides a scene for the murder, and there's kind of the symbolic concept of the sand trap, how when you play golf you get caught in the sand trap and it can kill your game. You know, somebody killed in the sand trap area. Again, tropes that deal with identities that could be faked by some of the characters and relationships that are potentially hidden, where Poirot has to figure out who's really working with whom and how that's going to work out in the end. Because again, we've got the idea of someone being murdered for money or for a potential inheritance, and how that's going to work out. The most annoying part of this novel, though, is once again it's narrated by Hastings. And Hastings becomes really annoying in this novel. I should point out, of course, these were written a long time ago, back in the 1920s, and Agatha Christie has these characters as sexist men living in the sexist society, so there's some sexist stuff in there as well. But Hastings is falling in love with this mysterious woman, and to me making really stupid mistakes, letting this woman kind of control him in the situation. But I guess in the end, he turns out to be one of those romantic kind of characters. What a surprise we get from Hastings in this one. Hope you enjoyed the book talk today. Get yourself some mystery novels, read through them. They're a whole lot of fun. Every day is a good day for a book talk. Peace.